My name's the Bearded Atheist, and or Adam, you can call me. And today I wanted to kind of go over The Edge of Sleep. So I am admittedly a fan of Markiplier's. Growing up, I didn't get into seeing him on YouTube until I was older. So when I heard that he had a project coming on, streaming, I was kind of excited. I hadn't listened to The Edge of Sleep. I knew he has a podcast. I'm not like a huge follower of Markiplier, so I don't watch everything that he does. But, I was excited enough to where I thought, you know what, I'm wishing him the best. And I know he has a few things in the works, but I was excited to see this, and I was happy to see that he actually had a studio who was willing to give money to him to have this project, worked on or completed. And I have to say, I turned it on. He released a video yesterday explaining that this video, the series, this first season, had dropped and it was available to go watch it. So I went to Amazon Prime and I watched it, and I watched the entire thing all the way through. And if it wasn't for the fact that Markiplier was in this, I honestly, if it wasn't his project, I would have clicked off. If it was from anybody else, the quality of the show, the acting of the show is just very subpar. It does tend to get better as some of the people are introduced into the show. For me, when you see him on screen, because obviously he's the main character, so when you see him on screen, you are just seeing Markiplier. So it's very hard to see him as anybody else. So it kind of takes you out of storytelling they're trying to do, because you're so used to him being this goofball that you can't really take anything serious. Everyone's acting in this is very bad. The nurse does a wonderful job. I've seen her in other stuff before, I believe. She's very convincing as a nurse character. There's a character who is his friend, and he plays like a, ex-military or, whatever the case is. And he does really well as well. I think he also has military. I've seen him in other things before as well, I believe. So those two are very good. Everybody else seems to kind of be just flung in there. There's parts of the show that just make absolutely no sense. The car doesn't work, and in this show, it should be no problem to just go into somebody's house and take their car keys and leave with their car. At this point, there's no rationale. This isn't like a zombie apocalypse where there's some sort of morale still around, there's still people surviving. This is one of those scenarios where nothing makes sense anymore, and every house you go into likely has somebody dead in it. So if you're going to check all these houses anyway and your car's not working, just go take someone else's car. Why spend time sitting there working on it? Why even bother? Just go take somebody else's car. So instead of taking somebody else's car, Markiplier's character, Dave, just runs 4 miles. To me, it would have made more sense just to take somebody else's car. At least in my mind. But, that's just me. Another thing is they do, they do an autopsy in the show, and something that's physically impossible. It happens, and instead of everybody going, what is that? Obviously, we're dealing with something that is not a virus. They're all still talking about it like it's a virus, and they still need virologists. Obviously, it's something that is not virus related, and they're looking at it like it's a virus. Okay, anybody. You don't need somebody who works for a shady organization. Some of this nurse's back history, they're relying on her history as somebody who worked with really crazy stuff, in the government, stuff that you wouldn't want to be around, you've never heard of before. She's the one who's going to get the answers as to what's happening to all these people, and then they come across something, and I'm telling you, it is physically impossible that a virus could do this to anybody. it's a mark on the inside of a body that can't get there without magic or something. And it is... The second anybody sane would see it, they would go, okay, we're no longer dealing in reality, we're dealing with magic or something. Like, there is no way, but she still says that she needs a team of virologists in 18 months. I don't know anybody who would say that. And also, they're sitting there talking about 78 hours worth, like 78 hours worth of, like, sleep, and, like, you can't go any longer. I've literally gone 3.5 days while not running around, sitting here hanging out, doing whatever, as just a regular insomniac. Like, I don't understand the concept of the show. Like, it had points where it would be good, but, like, sometimes the show, the intro takes 2 or 3 minutes. The characters are so unbelievable that it's laughable. And then by the time you get to the ending, you almost wonder why they even tried. Like, why the episodes weren't longer to fill in more info, because you get to the next part of the next episode, and instead of wanting to fast forward, you're wondering, why am I continuing to go on to the next episode? Like, do I want to? And again, my only reason for continuing to the next episode was to get to the next, like... I just wanted to support Markiplier, but, like... that was it. If this was from anybody else, there's no way in hell I would have finished watching this. And then you finally get to where they're going, and this guy who had to learn how to fly... Never mind. I'm going to get into spoilers, but a lot of the show doesn't make sense. It's forced to make sense. He has a dream telling him to go somewhere, and that's where they end up at the end of the season. And then you get there, and the bad guys don't make sense. They look like they were made in, like, a factory 5 minutes down the road, made of, like, Jello and Play-Doh. It's just really bad. Like, I could see this being like a YouTube short series and being picked up for a season 2, and the season 2 being really good. But, like, the way it is right now, it seems like somebody had a half-baked idea, like probably what the podcast originally was, I'm assuming. I haven't heard it again. And then took that podcast and said, hey, let's take this podcast and turn it into a show. And it's just, it looks cheap. It feels cheap. The plot's a joke. The doctors are a joke. I'm sorry, but Markiplier, this is an absolute 0. I wish I could scrub it from my mind. The best part of the show is the nurse, except in the last episode. She doesn't play somebody having a mental break very well. She plays a bitch really good, but she doesn't play... Like she's really good at being like that no nonsense, I'm gonna talk to you kind of situation, but she... like person... but she's not very good at being like she's losing it kind of a deal. That's just not who she was, and she looks laughably crazy. Like, if I saw her out in the road and she was acting this way, I'd say she's putting on a plot. I'd be looking for cameras for TikTok because of how bad it was. As a nurse, she played her role really well, but the fact that people died within minutes of going to bed is just the stupidest plot. If they were happening to get into REM sleep, if they had like a while and then they got into REM sleep and died in REM sleep, that would be a cool concept. But the fact that they're just dying as soon as they fall asleep, I mean within minutes, is just baffling to me. So, I don't know. As somebody who stays awake a long time and has been awake for days upon days and knows that at a certain point you can... like, your characters, they could have you could have broken that girl who kept falling asleep in the plane. I don't even remember her name now, but the one that in the last episode she dies. You could have broke her arm to keep her awake. That would have been more than enough pain to keep her awake until you got there. I'm pretty sure she would have forgiven you for breaking her arm if it kept her awake. I mean, there was so many things you could have done. I would have volunteered, hey, break my arm to keep me awake because I'm falling asleep. Like, there was so many things that logically could have been done, and you're like, nah, it's fine. Like, just let her nod off. It's perfectly fine. You could have broken fingers. I mean, anything. The pain. And then you guys keep hammering home this medication on TV repeatedly. It's even in the beginning of the show, beginning of each episode in the intro. This medication is supposed to keep you awake. And then the guy even says, yeah, they give it to pilots and keep them up for days. Okay, well, you guys have taken this medication. It's not keeping you up for days. It's keeping you guys up for maybe a couple hours. If that. I mean, this medication, you guys should be able to be up for days no problem if you just keep popping these pills. It's weird. You guys keep talking about how this medication, you guys keep hammering it home on the commercials, on the intros, this medication should be forcing you guys to stay awake, and it should be doing its job, but it should be making your heart fail. It should have like really bad side effects, but it should be doing the job of keeping you awake. So, and then I was gonna comment on how none of the bodies look dead. Like, these bodies have been, like, my dad passed away, right? And when I got to see him, even within an hour or two, he didn't look alive. He didn't look good, you know? But these people pretending to be dead, I know the shot of them pretending to be dead is probably only for like 2-3 minutes you film them, and you just use that same clip over and over again. But you're trying to hammer home that these people were dead for hours. So you check them, their pulse, no pulse. But then miraculously, their bodies just become used again. You guys couldn't apply any like blue makeup, so were they not actually dead? So they had no pulse, but I don't know. It's just, some of it didn't necessarily make sense, and sure, you guys might touch on that in season 2, because at the end of season 1, everybody who died in their sleep came back to life. They were like possessed, I guess. I don't know. It's just, it was very odd. Like, they didn't look dead, and if they're not truly dead, I don't know. It's just odd. It's very odd, and it doesn't want me coming back for more. If anything, I kind of don't want to watch a season 2. I don't know. I don't really have an answer, any more questions or anything. The actor who was the doctor, I thought he was very unconvincing. The way he stared off and talked about how he lost people in his life due to the machine. It was odd. Like, your practice made you lose people in your life because of a machine. I mean, the wig was just too much. I couldn't take anything he was saying seriously. He looked like he was like trying to get his groove back. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. I don't know. I feel like there was way too much unintended comedy in here than there was meant to be. And then the scene with your ex-girlfriend on the show, her dead on the plane, that was also in the first episode, with her eyes the way it was. That is the most laughable scene I have ever seen before. It is the most unusual look, and it's not even like it's trying to be scary. It is just odd. It is like you took something in your head that you thought would be creepy, and it just came out as unusual. It is the most Like, if I saw that, I would think I was still asleep. Like, I would think that my brain has just not fully woken up yet. It is not scary. It is... I don't know what it was. It was just off-putting. Like, that's the thing I first saw when the show started, and it made me not want to watch the show because of how bad it looked. And then when you get to the actual episode, because I knew it was going to come, it was like a foreshadowing. When we got to the actual episode that it was in, it didn't look any better. Nobody had taken the time. Her eyes... It was just the goofiest shot I have ever seen. I don't know how else to word it than that, but it was just odd. So yeah, I honestly... so if I could give it like a star review, I would give it probably like maybe 1.5 out of 5 stars. The acting was absolutely just not good. Unless we're talking about the nurse or the your friend of yours, your best friend that you were hanging out with, who's also a really shitty friend. People on the show don't act like real people for some reason. I don't know anybody who was the way your friend was in this show. People don't act that way. So I guess that's just another... We'll chalk that up to Hollywood, because I don't know anybody who acts the way your friends did. So we'll chalk that up, especially if one of your exes is going to be somewhere. Who goes, oh, go anyway, make her jealous? Yes. Yeah, who... I don't know anybody who would do that. That's like middle school, high school type of drama, not like... I was in the military and I did 3 tours and now I'm out. Yeah, that's child stuff, you know? Yeah, I don't know. So acting, yeah, I give it low for everybody besides the nurse. She was probably my favorite actress in the show. I would give the plot maybe like just a 2 out of 5. It was... I don't know if I could have written anything worse, to be honest with you. I could see it good as a concept. I just, on paper, it doesn't work out the way it should have. It was just too... It wasn't convoluted. It was just stupid. And again, this is just my opinion. And when it comes down to like how it was all, you know, executed, I don't know. I the reason I'm struggling so much is a part of me is saying, hey, it's Markiplier. You know, it's YouTube's like child. You know, like the original YouTuber, one of them, and the other part of me is trying to tell me to forget about that and just review this. And I've never done a review before like this because I've never cared enough to, but I care enough. And I just don't think it's a good product. I just don't think it was executed well, and I don't think there's any way of executing a show like this well unless it was made independently. If you would have released this on YouTube as full hour episodes with no intro or outro the way it was... like, if you released it exactly how it is right now on YouTube, I would be rating it exactly the same way I am right now. It is absolutely horrible. But if you would have put more effort into it, and you wouldn't have needed to fly a fake plane, you could have stole a boat. There's tons of stuff you could have done. But, again, my overall score is like a 1.5 out of 5 stars. I could not watch this again, and I would tell anybody else to not watch this and not waste their time. I would rather watch Thor... I almost said Blood and Honey. What's the new Thor movie? Thor... Not Ragnarok. Love and Thunder. That's what it is. I would rather watch Thor Blood and Thunder again Love and Thunder, jeez. Which I absolutely hated that movie. I wish I had never seen that movie. I would rather watch that again than watch The Edge of Sleep again. I hope it doesn't get renewed, and I apologize for saying that, as I really do appreciate what Markiplier's done over the years for YouTube and as a YouTuber. I just don't think this worked out very well at all, and I wish he would have had more saying in, or maybe he just didn't have enough saying. I just wish this would have turned out better. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, or if he had to make some concessions, or if this was his ultimate goal and he thinks it turned out perfect. I really wish there was something better, or I wish it turned out better. But for me, it's just going to end up being a no. It's just, there's no way in hell I could sit people down and say, hey, I really think you're going to enjoy this. Please have a seat. There's just no way, absolutely at all. I would have to turn it off midway through and apologize. So, anyway, I hope you the best on your next project, Markiplier, in case you ever see this. You probably won't, but just in case. I look forward to seeing your future projects, but this one just didn't do it, man. It's just, maybe it's different when you're actually working on these things and you're seeing the people behind the scene and you're working with them, and you're looking at each take and you're trying to pick out the best ones. But having you actually in the show is the biggest detriment to any project you're going to be in the future. And I know that probably hurts you. You probably were somebody who was in like acting in school. I don't know much about your background, to be honest with you. You seem like somebody who was in acting classes, at least in high school, or what do they call it, theater. So you were probably in some of those classes. You seem like the kid that was, maybe. I just don't think, with you having been the face of YouTube for so long, as if people know you on YouTube, seeing you in something is not going to be good, because we all know you as a goofball. So seeing you as in a serious role is damn near impossible. The reason why we can see other actors as just another actor in a movie is because we don't know them personally. We and people on YouTube have watched you for so many years now, and you've been so, what I'd say, open and honest with each other, with everyone, over the years about different topics, that I feel like we kind of have a sense of who you are. And for all I know, that could be an act, but I feel like we've come to know the true Markiplier, and the true you, at least as far as you want people to know you on the internet. And it's hard to see you in something as you're acting when you kind of act the same on the show as you do on this, besides you get a little angry on the show sometimes, but I don't really see anything different that separates you. Also, whenever I heard the voice of the radio announcer, it obviously, I think it was you, it sounded just like you, and that took me out of it every single time. I'd see you on screen and then I'd hear your voice as the radio announcer in the background, and I could have sworn it was you. I could be crazy. It sounded just like you. Anyway, yeah, I can go on for a while about this, but I didn't do this review last night because I was trying to think of how I wanted to kind of go over all this, but there's no rhyme or reason to any of this. I just wanted to throw my thoughts out there and let you know kind of what I thought about your show. So, in my opinion, it's a no. 1.5 out of 5 stars, unfortunately. I do apologize, though, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck in your future endeavors, and I will be there to watch, and I wish you the best of luck. Take it easy. Bye.